The blanket covered 4 children, not her. Diana Faye, a black mother of 4, hadn't seen a bed in 6 nights. She'd been living at a bus stop, not hiding, not waiting for rescue. Watching the street, keeping count of footsteps, holding a feverish infant against her chest. While her other 3 children slept under the only blanket she owned. She sold hair clips and keychains from a folding table during the day. She kept the money in a zipper pocket and counted it at midnight. 6 nights, 4 children. One blanket that was never hers. Across the street, a black car stopped at a red light. The driver was Park Ji-hoon, personal driver of Han Min-sak, a man the city's Korean business district knew by name and feared by reputation. Ji-hoon sat behind the wheel in the rain and watched a woman divide everything she had between her children and keep nothing for herself. He sent one photograph to his boss. What Hassan Min-sik did next, and what Diana almost refused, is a story about what dignity looks like when the world has taken almost everything else. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. She counted the coins at 11:40 p.m., $14 and some change, spread across the bottom of her tote bag, and she had already spent 11 of it. She pressed the rest into the inner zipper pocket and didn't look at it again. The rain started around midnight. Not slowly. It came down all at once, the way it does in late October, when the city decides it's done with warnings. Diana pulled the single blanket from the canvas bag and spread it over the 3 older children, where they lay on the bench, tucking the ends under their feet. She kept nothing for herself. She sat back against the cracked plexiglass wall, with the baby pressed flat against her chest, both hands holding the small body close, and listened to the water running in the street gutter 4 feet away. The baby was hot. Diana touched the small forehead with the back of her hand. Then once more. She said nothing. She had sold hair clips, phone chargers, a pack of children's socks, and 2 keychains today. The folding table was collapsed and propped against the shelter wall behind her. She would set it up again at 7, before the city workers started their rounds. She had learned which blocks moved her on, and which ones let her stay until afternoon. This was the 6th night. She didn't count them that way anymore. 6th, 7th, 8th. She had stopped giving the nights numbers, sometime around the 3rd one, when she realized that numbering them made each feel like failure instead of just weather. So she dealt in hours. The current hour was past midnight. The next goal was 3 a.m. After that, 6 a.m., when the church on Vine Street opened its side door for coffee and rolls. She had been to that door 4 times. The second child shifted on the bench in her sleep, and the blanket slipped. Diana reached across without standing and pulled it back. The oldest was awake. He had been for a while. He was 9, and he knew better than to say so. "You should sleep," Diana said. He didn't answer. He adjusted the backpack he used as a pillow. She didn't push it. At 1:17 in the morning, a black car came off the bridge, overpass, and stopped at the red light at the intersection directly across from the bus stop. It was long, dark, completely without markings. The rain was heavy enough now that the streetlights had hollows. Park Ji-hoon was behind the wheel. He had made this drive 100 times. Back from the north side of the city, down the bridge, through the commercial district, then right onto the avenue, where Min-sik's building was. He was 3 minutes from parking. He stopped at the light and looked left out of habit. The bus stop shelter was lit by a single fluorescent tube, one end flickering. Under it, a woman sitting upright on the metal bench with a small bundle pressed against her chest, 3 children asleep around her, a thin blanket covering them, and not her, She was not looking at the road. She was watching the shelter's perimeter, slow sweeps, left to right. She had been doing this for a while. You could tell by how she did it. No urgency, just maintenance. Ji-hoon didn't move when the light turned green. He sat for 2 minutes. A car honked once behind him and he didn't react. He pulled slightly forward into the bus lane, put on the hazards, and watched. She divided the blanket when the smallest one moved. She kept nothing for herself. The bundle on her chest was too still for sleeping. It was held. She was holding it. Ji-hoon took out his phone. He photographed the shelter through the rain-streaked passenger window, then sent it to Min-sik with a short message. The reply came in 4 minutes. One question. Ji-hoon looked at the shelter once more. Then he drove. In a back room of a restaurant on the north side of the city, Han Min-sik read the message. He was sitting at a table with 4 other men. The conversation had been about a parking arrangement and a debt owed by a man who ran 2 car washes. Min-sik set the phone face down on the table. The men kept talking. He picked the phone back up. In the photograph, the woman's face was half turned toward the street. The fluorescent light caught the left side. The shape of her jaw, the way she held the small bundle, the 3 children under the blanket were invisible except for their outlines. Min-sik looked at the image for a long time. Then he said, without looking up, "How old is the baby?" The men at the table went quiet. They didn't know what he was talking about. He was already typing. She had the table set up by 7:10 in the morning. The rain had stopped around 4 a.m. and the sidewalk was damp and cold. But the sky was already getting pale. She had a row of hair clips on the edge of the table, 3 packs of socks, 2 chargers still in their packaging, and a small rack of keychains. The oldest child sat on the bench behind her. The others were still asleep inside the shelter. The baby was quieter but still warm. The black car came at 8:03. Diana saw it from half a block away, and her shoulders moved before she could stop them. She turned to the oldest child and put both hands on his arms. "Take your brother and sister inside and stay there." She didn't say why. He did it without questions. The car parked at the curb. The driver got out. He was big and unhurried, and wearing a dark suit that cost more than everything Diana owned combined. He did not come toward her fast. He walked to the edge of the shelter's concrete apron and stopped there, just outside the overhang, holding a large umbrella that he didn't open for himself. "Miss Diana Fay," he said. She held still. He reached into his jacket and took out an envelope. He set it on the corner of the folding table, not in her hand. He said his employer had heard of her situation and was offering accommodation, food, clean clothes, and medical attention for the children. A hotel address was inside, a contact card, and money for food for the day. He said the car would wait 10 minutes. He said if she did not come, no one would follow her. Diana looked at the envelope. She did not touch it. "Who is your employer?" The driver paused. Then he said, "Someone who remembers what the 11th night feels like." He turned and walked back to the car. Diana stood at her table and did not move for almost a full minute. She could hear the baby coughing from inside the shelter, shallow and dry. She picked up the envelope. She looked at the money. She looked at the hotel address. She reached under the table for the canvas tote bag and began folding the keychains into it. The hotel room had 2 beds and a window that looked over the street. On the desk, a bag of takeout containers, still warm. On the chair, a bag of children's clothes, folded in the right sizes. On the nightstand, a box of infant medicine and a small thermometer. A woman was waiting. She introduced herself as a social worker, retained for the day. She had a clean, professional voice and didn't ask Diana for anything. She said a doctor would come in 2 hours for the baby. Diana put the children on the bed with the food and turned to the woman. "Who hired you?" The woman said the name, Han Min-sik. Diana sat down. She knew the name the way anyone who had worked the blocks near the Korean market district knew it. Not directly, but in the way a name gets known. Businesses that opened, businesses that didn't close when they should have. People who repaid debts quietly. People who didn't get to repay them at all. She asked what she owed. The woman said she had been told to say, "Nothing." "That's not an answer," Diana said. The woman said she understood and that she was only authorized to help with the children's needs. Min-sik didn't appear for 2 days. Ji came once each morning to leave food and confirm that the school enrollment was processing. On the second evening, he stayed at the door for a moment after Diana had started to close it. "He's not going to ask you for anything," Ji-hoon said. "People always ask for something." His mother slept in a covered market stall in Busan for 11 nights when he was 9. His father left one morning and didn't come back. A man who owed his father a favor found them on the 9th night and gave them a room. Ji-hoon looked at the hallway behind him, then back at her. Min-sik spent 40 years trying to find that man to repay the debt. He never found him. So he does it this way. Diana held the door. "He didn't send you here to own you," Ji-hoon said. "He sent you here because he knows what the 11th night looks like from the inside." He left. Diana closed the door. She went to the window and looked at the street for a long time, and she did not make any plans to leave. The children slept in beds for 4 straight nights. Diana watched it happen. The way the oldest stopped waking up with his hand on the backpack. The way the middle girl stopped pretending everything was fine and started just being fine. The way the quiet one started asking for things again. Water, a different shirt, a crayon, small requests. The kind children make when they believe someone will answer. On the morning of the 4th day, Diana was in the lobby, returning a key to get extra towels, when the front doors opened. Claudia Haynes walked in as if the building had been built to her specifications. Cream wool coat. Structured bag on her forearm. Blonde hair, straight and dry in weather that was still damp. She didn't stop at the front desk. She came straight to Diana, who was still standing near the counter with the key in her hand. She stopped. 2 feet away, she smiled. "I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jun Seo's fiancé. I'm sure you've heard the name." Diana said nothing. "I'll be direct with you," Claudia said, "because I think you're a practical woman. Min-sik is generous in ways that don't always serve the family. Women in your position, and I say that without judgment, sometimes mistake kindness for something more permanent. You have 4 children. This hotel, this account, it isn't sustainable, and more to the point, it isn't appropriate for this family to carry." The desk clerk was very still. Diana's oldest came off the elevator behind her with his backpack on and stopped when he saw the lobby. Claudia continued, "I'm not asking you to be ungrateful. I'm asking you to be realistic. Women like you always appear with children and a story. I've seen it before. I just want you to understand what's actually happening here before you build something in your mind that isn't real." Diana turned to her son. "Go back upstairs and get your brother and sister." He didn't move. He was reading the room. "Now," she said. Quietly, he went. Diana picked up the tote bag from the counter. She did not speak to Claudia again. She went to the elevator and pressed the button. She was thinking about the bus stop. Whether the city had cleared their spot. Whether the folding table was still behind the shelter wall. She was running the inventory in her mind because that was the only thing that kept her hands from shaking. The elevator opened. The social worker was in it, coming down, holding a sheet of paper. "I was just coming to find you," the woman said. She held it out. It was a school enrollment confirmation, 3 names. Start date, tomorrow morning. A school 12 minutes from the hotel. Diana stood in the elevator threshold. and the doors started to close on her. And she put her hand out and stopped them. Her oldest came around the corner with the other two. Behind him, the baby in the middle girl's arms. He walked up to Diana and looked at the paper. He could read. He read his own name first, then looked for his siblings. He found them. He looked up at his mother. Diana stood in the doorway of the elevator and didn't move. Behind her, through the lobby, Claudia was still in the seating area, waiting for a conclusion. Ahead of her was a flight of stairs, a room with 2 beds, and a piece of paper with 3 names on it in a school that did not know yet how long they'd been sleeping outside. She could not take this from him. She could not walk out that door and fold the table back up and pretend it wasn't real, not with him standing there, reading his own name off a page like it was proof of something. She took the paper. She went upstairs. She did not go back to the lobby. Han Min-sik came through the hotel's front entrance at 4:22 in the afternoon. He walked past the front desk without stopping, crossed the lobby, and sat down across from Claudia Haynes in the seating area, where she had been waiting for 2 hours. He placed a manila folder on the low table between them and straightened it once with one finger. Then he folded his hands. Claudia opened her mouth. "Please," he said. She closed it. He opened the folder. 5 pages, city seal at the top. He turned it toward her and let her read the first paragraph. 7 months ago, he said, the man who fathered those 4 children filed a neglect claim with the city's Child Protective Services. He filed it the week before he disappeared, citing unstable income and erratic behavior. He paused. He had cleared the family's bank account 2 days earlier. He had arranged to be gone. The claim was designed to make her the liability. If the children had been removed, she would have had no legal standing, no income, and no address from which to fight. Claudia was very still. The claim was never acted on because it had no substance, but it sat in the system open. My attorney closed it this morning. Formally. Permanently. He closed the folder. You came here today to tell her that women like her always arrive with children and a story. I'm telling you what the story actually was. She was sleeping at a bus stop because a man dismantled her life before he left. Not because she was careless. Not because she was looking for something that wasn't hers. Junso had appeared at the edge of the lobby. He didn't come forward. Min-sik didn't look at his son. He looked at Claudia. When you leave, he said, I'd like you to think about the difference between what you assumed and what was true. Claudia stood. She picked up her bag. Her face was arranged into something neutral. She left without speaking. Junso moved out of her path, and then stayed where he was, and Min-sik finally looked at him. Neither of them said anything. In the weeks that followed, a property manager Min-sik worked with found a 2-bedroom apartment 12 minutes from the school. The lease was in Diana's name. Diana's attorney, through Min-sik's legal team, but working exclusively for Diana, filed the child support and abandonment proceedings. The case against her husband was reopened, not by the family he left, but by the legal system he had tried to use. Diana refused the market stall twice. On the 3rd offer, she visited the market on a Saturday morning when it was open. She walked the floor, watched the vendors working, counted the customers. She signed the lease the following week. 6 weeks after the hotel, Min-sik announced the foundation at a community fundraiser. There were round tables and modest food, and a mix of Korean business community members and people from the neighborhoods adjacent to the market district. Diana was the last to speak. She didn't have notes. She stood at the small podium and said that she had slept 6 nights at a bus stop with her 4 children. She said she had sold hair clips and keychains and socks on the sidewalk because she had wanted to work. She said she had almost not gotten in the car. The room was quiet in the way rooms get when nobody moves. She said she was not a story about charity. She was a story about what happens when the systems move slowly and one person doesn't. Min Sek was seated at the back. He listened to every word. That evening, Diana closed her stall in the market at 7. She counted the cash from the day, wrapped it, tucked it in the tote bag. The same burgundy canvas tote bag. The children were at the small table she had set up at the back of the stall, doing homework under a warm overhead light. On the wall above them, mounted in a plain frame, was a photograph, the bus stop, the flickering fluorescent light. A woman sitting upright with a bundle pressed to her chest, 3 children asleep under a thin blanket around her. The blanket covering them, not her, her face half turned toward the street. She was watching. Below the photograph, in Diana's own handwriting on a strip of paper, 6 nights in the cold didn't define who she was. They only revealed how far a mother will go to keep her children alive. She turned off the stall light. She picked up the baby. She walked out of the market into the evening street. She didn't look back. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever had to choose between your pride and your children's survival, and found that there was